All right, welcome everyone to our third meeting of the 2022 through 2023 school year. On behalf of our PTSA board, I wanted to welcome everyone to our November membership meeting. Looking forward to an exciting agenda tonight. For our first meeting this year, we actually have two guest speakers who are joining us, and really excited to have both of them share their information with you tonight. Looking at our agenda, we have a few announcements, just some upcoming PTSA events, as well as latest happenings that I want to make sure that our members are aware of. And then I'll turn it over to our two guest speakers. Joining us first will be Michelle Goodus. She is from Kelly Services and will be speaking to us about substitute teaching or educator opportunities that are available within Hillsborough County. And then we'll be joined by Tim Waite, who will be speaking to us about how to advocate for your child. So looking forward to both of those topics and excited, and thanks, much appreciated for both of our speakers for joining us tonight. All right, let's go ahead and get through our announcements, and then I'll turn it over to our speakers. First up, volunteers needed. We have received our concession sales schedule for boys basketball for this school year, and our signups are now posted. So if you are interested in volunteering to help us sell concessions at any of our upcoming basketball games, we are looking for adults as well as students to assist us with game by game concession sales. The complete schedule for the season has been posted on the sign-up sheet, and we just ask that you go and register for those sales spots that you would like to take advantage of. Once we have our sign-ups completed, we'll be reaching out to our volunteers to ensure that we have all of the materials and everything that they need in order to be able to run concessions effectively for each of the games. And we're looking forward to our first game. It kicks off right after Thanksgiving. So we're looking forward to being involved with our concession sales there. In addition, I wanted to let everyone know that our general and dedicated sponsorships have been posted. You can use this QR code to access our online store, where you can see all of our sponsorship levels that are available. If you have businesses that are interested in sponsoring, we offer a variety of options, all the way from membership sponsorships for our members that are in need, through to some pretty good sponsorship and advertisement opportunities, leveraging our fence space along I-4 as well as US Highway 92. We'll be sending out more information to area businesses around our sponsorships in the coming weeks. We wanted to make sure that our members were aware that this was posted on our website and available if you have or work for a business that may be interested in sponsoring Armwood PTSA and our programs. All right, with that said, it's time to get into our agenda. So I'm happy to welcome our first speaker, Michelle, who will share with us some information about Kelly Educational Services and substitute educator opportunities. Hi, Michelle.
Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you. All right. Well, again, my name is Michelle Goodus. I'm a senior recruiter with Kelly Education. I've been working with Kelly Education since 2014, when we started working with Hillsborough County. And our role is to basically provide all of the substitute teachers and paraprofessionals for all of the public schools K through 12 throughout the county. To give you an idea of what that looks like, from August to present day, we have had to fill 73,610 absences. So it's a tall order. We know it's a big district. And I just wanted to share a little bit of information about the process of becoming a substitute teacher, what we're looking for, because I think it's a lot more attainable than people might have originally thought, or might have in their minds. So I'll go ahead and share a few things with you. So looking specifically at Armwood High School. So this is from August to November 11th. We needed 1,106 subs. So that's a pretty large number. We were able to, as a company, Kelly filled 705 of those with substitute teachers. Of course, that leaves 401 classrooms without substitute teachers. And that comes out to about a 64% fill rate. And while that's great, it's just over half. So we really are looking for parents, anybody who has, an interest in part-time work, really, you name it. This is a very flexible job. We have found that a lot of parents spend time at their child's school, anyways, and, it could be a good thing to become a substitute teacher. So again, I just kind of wanted to go through very quickly what we're looking for in terms of subbing. As a substitute teacher, a few key things. You do not have to have teaching experience. I think that's really important. Just having children, I think, is probably the best experience you could have for this job, and that's not even a requirement. So no teaching experience required. We have people from all walks of life. We have parents who, have all kinds of, former education, former jobs. We have a lot of stay-at-home moms and dads who are just looking to kind of get out of the house and make a difference and work in their child's school. So it's a great opportunity. Also, the minimum requirement for education is a high school diploma or a GED, and that's determined by the school district. So I think that's something that not a lot of people know. I think people automatically assume you need a teaching certification or a license, which is true in some states, but not so with Hillsborough County. So if you don't have that bachelor's degree or certification, that's perfectly fine. We have a large number of subs that have varying levels of education. And then the other thing that I think a lot of people don't know is that this is a very flexible job. We allow you to choose the schools that you work at, and you choose the assignments as well. So you don't have to worry about getting a morning phone call telling you where to go. What you would do was actually choose the schools that you're interested in. Might be Armwood, maybe a couple other schools as well. And then basically you're shown all of the opportunities there, and you pick the days and the assignments that you want to work. So it's really flexible. Again, you don't need a teaching background. And the minimum is a high school diploma. So just to kind of go back, let me see if I can get this main screen going again. Oops. Let's go back. Again, it's really rewarding. We have substitute teachers who come from all walks of life. And it's a great opportunity for some stay-at-home moms and dads, or if you're working part-time, just to spend some time at your child's school and really give back and, help out in the process. So there are 3 great ways to get a hold of us, and I can share this information as well. You can call our office, which is 813-518-5999. And option 2 will bring you directly to a recruiter who can get you started right away. Or you can email us at edhillsboroughcounty@kellyservices.com. So as you saw, we have a large need for subs. We have a lot of classrooms that need to be filled. So basically, feel free to share this with friends and family. If you would consider it yourself, the process is fairly simple. Again, we require the minimum of a high school diploma. We would ask that you provide a couple letters of reference. You would also get fingerprinted and have your backgrounds run through Kelly Education. Of course, that's top priority in filling these spots. So it's a pretty quick and seamless process. If it's something that you or someone you know might be interested, please, again, feel free to share this information. And thank you, Amanda, very much for allowing me to mention this tonight. So I appreciate your time. I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate the information. I think it's very enlightening to see all of the opportunities, what were filled and those that have gone unfilled. So I appreciate you sharing that data with us and letting us know about this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So up next, I will turn it over to Tim, who's joining us from the Florida Inclusion Network, and give him an opportunity to introduce himself and talk to us about our main topic for tonight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Waite, and I am the facilitator for the Florida Inclusion Network here in Hillsborough County. I'm going to talk to you tonight about learning how to be a better advocate for your child with a focus on parents who have children with disabilities. So I've got a few things that I want to share with you, and you can access these a couple of different ways. So the PowerPoint that I'm going to show you tonight, you can access a copy of it through that bit.ly that you see on the screen, the link, or by scanning the QR code. You can also simply click the link that I dropped in the chat box if you happen to be live with us tonight. So that will give you a copy of the PowerPoint. And then I also created this resource list for you. It has all of my information, my email address, also information about our parent service department that I'll go over later. Again, another copy of a PowerPoint, and then all of the links for everything I'm going to mention tonight, maybe not going through all of these things in detail this evening, but I'll definitely mention them this evening at least, and a ton of resources for you. So that resource list can be accessed with either scanning the QR code on the screen, or again, if you're live with us this evening, you can click the link I just dropped in the chat box. So either way, you can access those resources. And if you are typing in the link, the actual web address there, make sure that you type it exactly like it looks because it's case sensitive. So those are all the resources that will save me having to drop a bunch of links in the chat box and everything as we go through this. Amanda mentioned that I work with the Florida Inclusion Network. So we are a grant-funded organization out of the Department of Education. There is a facilitator like myself who works with every school district in the state of Florida. And we support the districts to create more inclusive opportunities within the districts for students with disabilities. And so to that end, we work in partnership with the district from a data-driven approach where we are very student-focused. We look for opportunities for technical assistance for the district and for schools, and for professional development opportunities for the district and the schools. We can also provide coaching and resources for the district and schools, and work in collaboration with them to build stronger relationships with the families. Hence the reason I am here this evening. Some of the services that we provide for families, educators, administrators, and community members are, I can function as a resource for parents. I do parent trainings like the one this evening, and we can also provide help to the districts. I work with the district as a whole. I work with regions of Hillsborough County, given its size, and I also work with individual schools. In fact, I have been to Armwood a couple of times in the last 6 months, for trainings for their staff. So we do that in order to promote services and supports for students in the schools, in particular students with disabilities. The goal of our network is to provide these supports for all students with disabilities in the state of Florida, and our services that we provide are free to all Florida public and charter schools. So in addition to public schools, I also work with all the 50 plus charter schools in Hillsborough County as well. So getting right into this and looking at the topic of what an advocate actually is and what it means to be an advocate, if you look at the literal definition of the word advocate, it means to give voice. So to speak for somebody or to speak on behalf of somebody. And as a parent, you are obviously speaking on behalf of your children. And it's important, especially if you are the parent of a child with a disability, to advocate for your child's needs. It's important to always advocate for your child's needs, whether they have a disability or not. But if they do have a disability, it is so important that you are a strong advocate for your child and for what they need in order to be successful. There are decades of research available showing the positive effects of family involvement and contributions in schools to student success and student outcomes. And obviously, if you're here tonight or if you're listening to this, then you are actively partnering with your school and you are actively participating in your school. And that leadership is so important and so needed. And the need is to work in partnership with the teachers, the administrators, all the school staff, support staff, to make a successful outcome for your child. Looking at like why you would want to advocate for your child, what is the purpose of advocating for your child, and what do you bring to that? What do you bring to the advocacy arena? Your experience, obviously, your experience is invaluable. Your knowledge of your child is so valuable and can be used to improve things for your child. You know when things are working and when they're not working for your child. And having a voice and expressing when things are working just as much as when things are not working is so important. And sharing your ideas about how to make things better for your child. Teachers have a lot to do, administrators, school staff have a lot to do, but they always have time to listen to you and to listen to your ideas. I've been a teacher in the state of Florida for more than 25 years. And I can't even tell you how much I appreciated it when parents contacted me and wanted to share ideas with me, because it just always makes for a better atmosphere for the child and a better involvement for that parent. That involvement improves things so much for the children. And honestly, your involvement with your child, your experience, your knowledge, your ideas about what works and what doesn't for them, it's obviously because you have that long-term connection for your child. Teachers come and go on a yearly basis, and you are the consistent throughout their lives. You are the one who is there seeing everything since they were small children, and therefore your knowledge is so valuable. That's what makes it so valuable. You are a consistent force in their life. And being there to communicate that information to teachers and the staff at the school is what makes you such a valuable advocate. So I'm going to cover about 6 different topics, and I will, this is just sort of a list of all the different areas I'm going to hit as I go through this. And again, it is focused on children with disabilities. So the first area I'm going to talk about is understanding your child's disability. And, understanding the label that's been placed on your child as their disability and understanding what is impacting them as a result of their disability is so important. And it can help you understand better what services are needed by your child. And then you can better advocate for those services to the school. Always having high expectations for your child. Always wanting your child to achieve more, always wanting your child to grow more. And, having those high expectations are so important. Finding, understanding what technology might help your child and being able to voice that to the parent, as a parent, to the teachers, and then understanding what accommodations are. And I'll go over them in a minute, give you a resource that you can access about them. But understanding, what technology and what accommodations will benefit your child and help them in the school setting. And always reviewing your child's individual education plan or their IEP. That is sort of the roadmap that the school utilizes to guide them in educating any child with a disability. And being actively involved in that IEP process and reviewing it frequently, it will help strengthen your ability to communicate better for your child and to advocate for them. And so sort of to that end, I'm going to go through just some key points in an IEP because, an IEP, an individual education plan, can be an overwhelming document. I mean, I have written up hundreds upon probably thousands of these in 25 plus years. And, so for me as a teacher presenting to a parent, I go through these, I was going through these every single day. And so it became a very quick process for me. But as a parent who only sees this document once a year, possibly, looking at all this information can be an incredibly overwhelming thing. So I just kind of wanted to hit on some key points in an IEP for you to watch out for and to listen for as you are attending an IEP meeting. Performance data is one of the first 3 pages that you're going to encounter in the IEP. And when you see it, you're going to see data sources. And this is where they're going to list all the testing, all the assessments that are available to them to document how your child is doing. And another very important area on this page is this box here in the middle that says goal next to it, goal 1, goal 2, and so on. This is where, so every IEP will have goals for your child and how your child, these goals are set regarding how your child is going to perform over the coming year and where we would like to see them performing at in a year. So every time you have an IEP meeting, they're going to go over the current goals and in this box say whether or not they're meeting this goal or whether they're not meeting the goal. And if they are, what shows that they're meeting it. And then in this box, if they're not meeting it, they'll say why they're not meeting it. So it's important to listen for that and ask questions, stop them and say, why are they not meeting this goal? What happened? Why are they not achieving that success in that goal? And after they go through this page, they'll move on to what is called the present level. And obviously there's nothing written on this one, but trust me, this one can be quite lengthy. This could be 3, 4, even I've seen them 5 pages long. And what the present level is, in the simplest terms, it is the story of your child. It is, everything about your child that relates to them academically at school and every bit of knowledge that is needed to understand who your child is and how they're functioning at school. And this is an important area. And when you go over an IEP at a meeting, you need to understand that it's always a draft. It's never a done deal, basically. It's never the final document. It can always be added to or things removed or, whatever needs to happen to it. It's a fluid document at that meeting. And so in this section, what's going to happen is they're going to come to the meeting, the teacher and the school will come to the meeting with this section pretty much already filled out, and they're going to read it to you. And when you hear things read in here, please stop them if you question things or if you don't understand something. Please always stop and ask questions about it. They're going to go over, just in that first section up there, general information about your child. Then they're going to hit on these important areas here, these 5 important areas: curriculum and learning, social emotional, independent functioning, healthcare, and communication. And some of these areas might not be areas of concern for your child. They may not have anything, that needs to be really stated in all of the areas. And so some of them could be larger areas for your child. Some of them might have less writing in them for your child. But they all have to have something in them to talk about that area as it relates to your child. And in here is where you can give your input. If you know something about their social emotional behavior type things, you can give that input in that section. Healthcare is always a big one to get information from parents. If you know something about how they communicate well at home, or what type of communication works well with your child, please feel free to always stop and give that input in this section. Because if your child were to move to a new school, this section is what's going to help the new school understand who your child is and what they need to do to support them. Or every time a new teacher comes into your child's life, they're going to look at this and read it to better understand your child. In this section, this is the other really big section in the IEP, and that is when it gets into the goals section. So these are where the goals are. Based on that present level, they're going to create goals for your child. The most important areas that your child needs to work on in order to be successful over the coming year. And so there will be a goal, and you see it in the little green box there, that states where they would like to see your child performing 1 year from now. And that's the goal. And then under that, you'll see what are called objectives. And the objectives are the smaller things that the teachers in the school are going to do to help your child achieve that goal. So if you're thinking of your child, what should a good goal be? Well, a good goal is something projecting out where your child needs to grow in a year. So realistically, every child, in theory, would grow in reading 1 full year of reading. So if they're reading at a 6th grade level, in 1 year, they should be reading at a 7th grade level. That's a realistic goal and high expectation for your child. So, they might set a goal that in 1 year, your child will grow in reading 1 full year, 1 full reading level. And then the objectives will be what's going to help your child grow that full year. And having questions about this section and understanding it thoroughly is so important. And so again, if you don't understand what they're saying, because again, teachers go through a lot of these, stop them, ask questions, and clarify, your understanding so that you can best help your child. And if you know what the objectives are, that's something you could also focus on in what you might work on at home with your child as well, because that extra help and that extra development that you provide at home could benefit them in the school setting as well. Now, this section is another one that is quite overwhelming because of all the print and all the information in it. And it's a lot to take in when you see it on the screen. And this is the accommodations section. So accommodations you could think of them as tools that your child needs in order to be successful in their academic classroom work. And so there are both classroom accommodations and there's testing accommodations. So you see the yellow arrows pointing at those 2 sections. So obviously classroom accommodations are things that can be done within your child's classrooms to help them perform academically and be successful. And then testing accommodations are things that can specifically be done to help your child be as successful as possible in a testing situation. So there are a lot of different accommodations that are available out there. And, sometimes parents can get overwhelmed with, well, I don't know what an accommodation is. I don't know what to even suggest. What I would recommend to you when the school gets to this section, if you see, that they're saying things like, you can see under classroom accommodations here, repetition of important information. So that means the teacher can repeat important information to your child. Maybe in this other one here, they get small or special grouping. They get extended time to complete classroom work. They get more frequent breaks in the classroom. If you hear those and you think, well, could there be more things that might benefit my child? You can always ask them that, and maybe just say what you see at home and the things that you do at home to help your child. Then if you explain that in the meeting, the teacher in the meeting might be able to form an accommodation similar to what you do at home to benefit your child in the classroom. I mean, you may not know the exact language of the accommodation, but just expressing your thoughts and expressing what you see at home can help them find something that might work in this section under accommodations. And you only see 4 here. There could be a lot more than this on an IEP. And then testing accommodations are pretty standard. They are things that we can do in a testing situation to help your child perform their best. And that is things like oral presentation is having test items read aloud, except where that's not permitted, like in a reading, a test of their reading skill. Obviously, we're not going to read something for them if we're testing their reading level. But outside of that, everything else could be read for them. Extended time to complete the test. A test allocation is having their tests broken up into smaller parts. Small grouping, maybe they work better in a small group setting when they're testing, fewer students and with more adults, and therefore they might work better in a small group setting. So that would benefit them. I gave you in here, oops, sorry, I went through all of that and forgot I had little red arrows. I gave you in here also an article, and it's also on the resource list that I provided to you. It's from a website called understood.org. By the way, a great website that has a whole variety of articles for parents, and both for parents of students with disabilities and without disabilities. It's an amazing website. It can really help you. Their articles really are put in terms that everybody can understand, and they provide you a lot of really valuable information on their site to benefit you and your child's, education. I gave you a link down there to an article called Accommodations, What They Are and How They Work. It's a great article. It will walk you through, from a parent's perspective, everything you need to understand about accommodations, far more than I just provided you even. So it's a really good article and a great website that I highly recommend as a resource for you. All right, the next area I want to cover is getting to know your school staff. Obviously, if you're here tonight or you're listening to this, you probably know your school staff. However, knowing your school staff, there's also knowing your district staff and how these people impact your child and are responsible for your child. And honestly, a lot of this applies whether you have a child with a disability or you don't have a child with a disability. Getting to know these people is so important. In your school staff, you have all these different people at the school who could be impacting your child. From the general education teachers, the special education teacher or teachers, the individual at the school, if your child has an IEP, who is your child's case manager. You need their name, you need their email address, so that you can contact them, or their phone number. The ESE specialist, that's ESE is Exceptional Student Education. So if your child has an IEP, the ESE specialist or contact at the school is so important because that individual is like the department head over special education. And it's a great person to know and to have contact with to help you understand what's going on with your child and to help you support your child. And then obviously the administrators and then other support staff at the school. Get to know the names of the guidance counselors, the psychologists, the social worker assigned to the school, and the office staff. I mean, you know, having a positive relationship with the individuals running the front office is very important because they're basically the gatekeepers to the school. And, you know, having a positive relationship with them is a very good thing to do as a parent. And then getting to know district staff as well, especially if you're the parent of a child with a disability. And that's getting to know the special education regional supervisor. So Hillsborough County is the 7th largest school district in the nation. So think of every city in the entire country. We are the 7th largest school district out of all of them. And so we're huge. And we actually break our district up for special education, into 9 regions. And each of those regions has a full staff of people who run that region. And so there is, for special education, there is an ESE regional supervisor, a district resource teacher, who's basically the assistant supervisor. There is a parent service liaison assigned to every region, and a staffing coordinator and specialists. And the staffing people are the individuals who are in charge of the paperwork, you know, things like the IEP, for example. And getting to know these people is so important. Now, and then you also can get to know me. Because if you don't know who these people are and you're not comfortable contacting them, you can always contact me. I currently don't have a great phone number to contact me at because my office is in between buildings right now. We're waiting for our new offices to be put together. But I gave you my email address, and you can always email me if you have questions, and I can connect you with the right people that can help you. But I also have given you a resource here that you can use. And I actually, right before we started this tonight, I had to go in and add that little blurb that you see down there, specific for Armwood, because recently the ESE supervisor, in fact, I just found out today that the ESE supervisor is new now, that's assigned to Armwood, and her name is Dr. Leslie Brown. And then she has an assistant who is Brianna Wooten. And they are new to that position, new to that region. And I gave you, this is that link, the link that QR code and that link will take you to. And you can see Armwood High School listed here. You have the name of the parent liaison, who's Lene Wilson, and her phone number to contact her at. And then this is the old ESE supervisor as of about a week ago. And the new one is Dr. Leslie Brown. And then the phone number is still the same, though. And you can see the phone number there. And this is actually a list of every single one in the entire district. So you have that information. And if you ever have questions about your child's education at the school or about how they're being serviced as an ESE child, you can always reach out to these people. That is what they are there for. They are there to help you, and they are there to provide you with information and support, and just a valuable resource for you. And don't ever feel like you can't contact them. Please don't ever feel that way. Knowing how, and then I also gave you a bunch of other links here, and I'll actually show you some of these. So I gave you links to, obviously, the homepage for Hillsborough County Schools. I gave you a link to the homepage for Hillsborough County Special Education. Also for Fiddlers, and I'll show you that one in a moment, and then for my agency as well, and I'll show you that one again at the end, at the end of the presentation. But quickly, just going through some of these, just so you're aware, So up here, come on, there we go. This is Hillsborough County Schools. Obviously, there is a tab here just for parents. So tons of information here for you that you probably are already familiar with. But if you are a parent of a child with a disability, I also gave you the link to the special education part of the website. So you can just go directly there. And it has a lot of information here with a lot of links to things that would be important to any parent of a child with a disability, from instructional support, behavior supports, all different information here, choice options, parent resources, and then contact information for all of those areas. I also gave you a link to what's called the Fiddlers Hillsborough website. And Fiddlers is the Florida Diagnostic, let's see if I can get this right. The Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resource Services, I believe. And Fiddlers is a great resource for you. I am part of Fiddlers, actually. You have a link here to my portion of Fiddlers website. And there's also parent and family services here with all the context for all the liaisons. Everybody in parent and family services at Fiddlers are parents themselves of children with disabilities who have been through or are currently going through the Hillsborough County public school system. There are all sorts of information here from them, including webinars and workshops that you can take. In my section here, if you click on Fin, it will take you to my portion of it. You have my contact information. I also created a series of newsletters when the pandemic started, and I ultimately created 9 of them, and they are all accessible here. You can just click on them, and they're about 4 pages long each with all different ideas you can see listed here. And a lot of it is stuff that would benefit even parents of students without disabilities. So there is a lot of information there for you as well. And then additional resources that are provided by my agency that are there for you also. So those are those websites. And then also I go on now into the third section, which is knowing your rights and responsibilities. I'm not going to go into all of these websites, but again, you have links to all of them in the resource guide that I gave you. Procedural safeguards are your legal rights as the parent of an individual, a child with a disability. They are your rights. And in Hillsborough County, they are very big sticklers for the procedural safeguards. You have a lot of control. You have all the control in your child's life as a child with a disability. And these spell out all of your rights. And you can contact anybody at any ESE teacher at the school or any of those district regional ESE supports that I gave you, and they can go through these safeguards with you in detail and explain them to you. I gave you a link to a copy of them, and they're in multiple languages. I gave you information on the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. That is the basis of everything we do in special education in the United States. And I gave you a link to it that explains what that federal law entails. And I also gave you a link to the updated version of federal law called Every Student Succeeds Act, or what we call ESSA. And this act was enacted by Barack Obama when he was president, and it holds schools and school districts responsible for students across a spectrum of areas. And it holds schools responsible for showing growth academically in all students that they support and service. And I gave you a link to that act as well. And then just a general link to the Florida Department of Education. It has a lot of information on it and a lot of resources as well. Finding ways to share what you know about your child. So this would be appropriate for anybody, any parent out there. whether you have a child with a disability or not. But keeping a records document, and probably keeping it in it, some parents multiple binders, but at least one binder. Getting yourself something that you can organize all the documents that are involved in your child's education. And you never know when some of those documents will become important. Somebody I work with at Fiddler's actually told me she has a daughter who has a disability. And when her daughter was 21 years old, she encountered an agency that needed a document from her from when her daughter was in kindergarten. And she said she didn't have something like this, and she ended up having to search for it through her house until she finally found it. So keeping all the records that you can and organizing them and maintaining them is so important. You never know when you're going to need it. Also, keeping a log, a phone log, or an email log of every time you communicate with somebody at your child's school or in the district is really a good source of information for you that you can always go back to and refer back to if you need it. And then when you attend meetings at school, keep notes. If you're using a binder, have blank pages in your binder where you can take notes on what you're doing in the meeting. Or if they're explaining paperwork to you and you don't understand something, jot it down in your notes and ask when they're done. A question that you might have had that you thought of while they were talking. Keeping notes is a very important aspect. And keeping a section in a binder about what works with your child, or like an all about me kind of thing, where you keep record of what works for your child and what has worked for your child in the past. And all different things, their strengths, their interests, their favorite activities, their, what you see as their learning priorities for the coming year, or honestly, even what if they're in high school, what your child sees as their priority. And including things about, physical assistance that maybe a child needs, or communication assistance that your child may need. Behavior supports that work for you at home or don't work for you at home, or behavior supports that have worked in previous school settings that your child has been in. And then, maybe classroom arrangements, seating, positioning in the room, noise tolerance, all those things can be so valuable. And then samples of your child's work. And sharing all of this with teachers and individuals that engage with your child at school can really help them better understand your child and how to best service your child and support your child. And having all of this and making a point of going in and meeting with the school and sharing this information with them, sharing your binder or your portfolio that you're keeping on your child. It can really help enhance the educator's understanding of your child. And again, you are the ones who know all of this and have all of this experience, and the teachers are new to your children all the time. So every time your child encounters a new teacher, going in and making it a point of communicating this type of thing with them, or doing it even in a group setting where you meet with all of them, can really help them. And focus when you do communicate with staff, school staff, about your child. Be sure you're focusing on your child. Focus on your child's needs. Focus on what's going to help your child be successful. Everything should be revolving around them and what's going to help them be successful, and sharing your insights about them. Taking, when you share this information, it's your opportunity to develop that relationship with the school staff. Reviewing your child's what works for them portfolio or binder at an IEP meeting is so valuable to the teachers at that meeting. And you can almost look at this as like you're marketing your child to the school staff. You're their marketing director, and you're marketing them. You're advocating for them and their best needs. And then that allows you to problem solve together and to work together to achieve what's going to help your child be successful. Always remember to speak clearly to them, and never try to make them feel defensive. Don't always be on the attack with them, but be there to work with them, and want to do, again, focusing on the child and what will be best for that child. Turning negatives into positives, trying to summarize what you're hearing going on at the meeting, because that can benefit you. It can help you clarify in your own mind what you're hearing. It can also, if you have a misconception, when you summarize, it can help the teachers that are there, the administrators that are there, to understand your misconception and maybe clarify it if there is one. And then make plans for how you're going to communicate with them. I can tell you, as a teacher, I loved emails. I was all about emails from parents. And I was so, happy when I got emails from parents, to be honest. And I say emails because sometimes getting to a phone is difficult for a teacher during the day. They might not have easy access always to a telephone to be able to call you, but emails are an easy communication form for them. And then, decide, how often you want to hear from the teacher. Do you want to hear from them daily, weekly, monthly, as needed? That can be up to you. And, how are you going to communicate? Like I said, is it going to be through notes, telephone calls, emails, in person? And again, I can't emphasize enough that your child's needs should always be at the center of your communications, and with the school and with the district. And then some good communication at any meeting that you attend is to always focus on the goal that you have for your child. Show respect and expect it, honestly, back from others. Manage your emotions at meetings. Ask a lot of questions. I used to be so sad when I would sit in a meeting with a parent and they wouldn't ask any questions, because, I knew that they must have had some, but they just, always feel comfortable to ask those questions. It always made me so happy as an educator to have questions asked from parents, so that I had a chance to clarify things for them and to, help them better understand what was going on. Again, rephrase things for clarification. And obviously, that's a no-brainer. Always thank people for their time, and show appreciation for the fact that, you had the opportunities to talk to them. When you put things in writing, in emails, be sure to send it to the people that can make change for your child, can help you to change things for them or to improve things for them. Always date and sign every form of communication that you use with the schools or the district. Try and keep your communication with them focused on one or two main issues that you want to address. Shouldn't really be longer than one page, your communication, because otherwise that can be overwhelming to the person getting it. And set a deadline for when you'd like to hear back from them. Don't just leave it open. Don't just say, ask a few questions and then leave it open. Say, I'd really appreciate it if you could get back with me within the week. And, set a realistic goal for them to communicate with you. And obviously always give your contact information, and to keep a copy of whatever you send for yourself. When you disagree in a meeting or in an interaction, always disagree without being disagreeable. I guess that's kind of a weird sentence there, but, always disagree. And, you can disagree and be pleasant about it. You can disagree and get what you need by, not being angry and yelling and screaming about it, and doing it in a calm manner. Apologize if you need to. If you realize that you're misunderstood something and that you're, not happy about something, but you actually misunderstood it, be willing to apologize if needed. Separate the person you're dealing with from the problem you're trying to solve for your child, and realize that honestly, no one has all the answers. There are always other people that you can reach out to if you're not getting the response that you feel that you should be getting, or the information. And make certain that your facts that you're communicating are correct. And honestly, the last area is to always believe that your voice is important and that your voice can have an impact. Advocate for your child. Be your child's voice, regardless of how old they are. Be your child's voice. Be their spokesperson. And at your child's age in high school, teach them to advocate for themselves. In high school, your children should be attending all of their IEP meetings. Your children should be attending meetings that are going to impact their education. Your child, if they have an IEP, they should be able to look at that IEP and know what their goals are. They should be able to know what their accommodations are. They should have a list of their accommodations in their backpack that they carry with them so that they can take them out and show a teacher and say, look, this is an accommodation that I get on my IEP and I need it. If that teacher's not providing it. Teach your child to advocate for themselves. And I love this quote by Alice Walker that the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. You are their parent. You have the power. You have the biggest power in their life to impact that child. And using it to advocate for them is so important. Always stay involved and obviously, if you're here or you're listening to this, you are involved in your child's life. Just taking the step to be here or to listen to this shows that. But always stay involved in your child's life. Always stay involved in the school. And continue your own knowledge building yourself. Continue your own education. You're your child's most important ally, and you improving your skills and improving your knowledge can greatly benefit your child. Always staying active and never stop learning yourself to always improve your skills. Now, I'm not going to go into all of these, but I will tell you that I gave you a lot of resources here. A couple of these I'm going to show you on this page. And that is, this one is I showed you the Fiddler's website here. Know that under this parent service tab, parent and family services here, the webinars and workshops tab, this is it here. They actually have links so that you can register for workshops that they have coming up. They will always project them out. These are the two that are coming up in the next few weeks. And they give you event descriptions. They give you all of these points of information for you. And different points of strategies and things that you can do to support your child at home. That's important. This is my agency's website, and up here there is a tab for families, and when you click on it, we have all of our family resources here, including recorded presentations on a variety of topics for families, and then a ton of different resources that are available to families, including what are called fact folios. And these cover different aspects of inclusion and making certain that your child with a disability is being included in the academic setting. And they're about 4 pages long, each of them. And they're loaded with information about inclusive opportunities for your child. And they're available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. We have communications tips for parents and back to school tips for parents as well. And again, these links will take you to all of those resources. Pop all those up again. And then I also gave you a ton of other resources here for you. These are all different websites that provide a lot of information on for parents of students with disabilities. I also gave you links to all of the biggest Florida discretionary projects or grant-funded projects that are available. There is everything from the main Fiddler's website. CARD is an agency out of USF that focuses on students with autism. Family Cafe is a huge gathering once a year in Orlando. It is a massive gathering. It's a convention for parents, an incredible resource opportunity to attend in Orlando. I gave you other things related to where is it? Project 10. Project 10 focuses on transition. So as you're looking at your child graduating from high school and moving on into adulthood, they focus on transition. Project Access focuses on students who are on access curriculum. TATS is for children who are pre-K. If you have other children at home who are ages 3 through 5, TATS would be your place. And again, a link to my agency's main website. I also gave you information here on the 2 ladies who run the the Hillsborough Parent Services. The main coordinator and project manager is Debbie Valdez, and Corinne Smith is in charge of communications. Their contact information is accessible through that link. And again, all of these are in that resource guide. Again, these are the fact folios that my agency puts out. I gave you a link to them on the website. And my contact information. And honestly, if you have questions for Debbie, again, runs parent services in Hillsborough. She is in charge of all the parent liaisons for the county. And she is an incredible source of information for you if you have questions. I gave you her email address there as well. So that is a lot of information in a short period of time, folks. But that is everything I have for you. Thank you.
This has been great. This has been a phenomenal amount of information. We really appreciate you sharing this with us tonight, Tim. And we look forward to sharing it with our members after the call as well. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right, so returning back to our content, just a few quick reminders before we close out the night tonight. I did want to remind everyone of some upcoming events that we will be hosting. Most recent is going to be our HCC FAFSA Assistance Night. So if you have a graduating senior who is looking to continue their education at perhaps a community college, VOTEC school, or even a university, FAFSA is an important part of being able to get access to funding, especially the Florida Bright Futures funding. And we will have the Hillsborough County Community College will be joining us their financial aid department will be joining us in helping parents and students get through that FAFSA application. We have, I believe, 3 or 4 shifts available. Registration is required. The link for that event is on our website as well as posted on social media. And then our first basketball game of this season, where we're looking to begin those concession sales and are needing volunteers for concession sales, will be on November 29th at 6:30 p.m. Armwood will be facing Tampa Bay Tech. Our next PTSA board meeting will be at Armwood. It will be December 6th, beginning at 6 p.m. And then, as always, the third Tuesday of each month, we'll be moving up a little bit. This month, due to the holiday, we'll be meeting on December 13th at 6 p.m. for our final membership meeting of the 2022 year. This will also be an online meeting similar to this one, and we look forward to seeing everyone there and hope you can join us. Here are some quick links and QR codes that you can use to access us. Want to make sure that everyone knows that we post all of our information on our website as well as through our social media accounts. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. And as a reminder, this call was recorded, so all of the information will be saved and posted, and you'll be able to access it from YouTube generally 24 to 48 hours after our meeting ends. All right, we'd like to take one more opportunity to thank you all for joining us tonight, and we appreciate your feedback. If you have any information to share, or even any speaker ideas or where we can bring additional content to you as a part of our monthly meetings, give us an email. We can be reached at armwoodhsptsa@gmail.com. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing everyone again soon. Bye, everyone.